Hey you geeks! I've had a soft spot for Brandon Sanderson's Skyward novels for a while now. I picked them up at the beginning of this channel and am overjoyed to have more Skyward content to review, or as it's now called, the Cytoverse. Sando has discussed how difficult it was for Dragonsteel to convince the publisher to release these novellas in this way. Yet I think it's totally worth it. In a way, these novellas are more like the Skyward sequels I expected after the first book, following the exploits of Skyward Flight as they explore the universe.
To boldly go where no one has gone before.
Starsight was wonderfully unexpected, and it looks like Cytonic will be more of the completely new and out of this world story. So it's good that we touch base back with the old crew. If you haven't read these books yet, please do. Neither are bad. Sunreach is good, but Redawn is better. Together, they make one excellent novel. I'm going to do a spoilerific breakdown of Sunreach first, then go on to Redawn, that will cover the larger arcs which bind both stories together, taking this series
to infinity.
And
before I get started, if you are a Sander fan looking to dive into the Wheel of Time fandom, I will be doing weekly reviews of Amazon's The Wheel of Time starting November 22nd. Then going back to my normally scheduled programming in January. So please, subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch all the drama. Sunreach. FM. Just something about her and her pirate radio in her fighter ship makes me think Iron Eagle.
Oh, Colonel, I think I may have a problem with my receiver. I heard some music up there. Guess I must have picked up a radio station or something.
Though it's not like Sunreach is about a group of teenagers stealing military property to go on an insane rescue mission. Of course not. Back in Skyward, FM came off as a rebel without a cause. I vaguely remember Spencer wondering what FM has to rebel against. Picking up the role of animal rights activist is a good fit for her. Discovering the Tanix through her eyes was the right choice and oddly compelling. In the real world, I'm more of a Jorgen.
You're not supposed to name it. Once you name it, you start getting attached to it.
I want animals to be well taken care of. I just don't want to be the one doing it. Shipping. The first reason Sanderson needed a co-writer for these novellas is to find new ways to write teen romance. FM and Rig's awkwardness, then shoulder-touching in the duo was perfection, and nothing like what Sando has written before. Thank you, Jancy. Tanix. Sanderson does love his peculiar, yet cute, magic sidekicks. The Tanix, or slugs, are adorably gross, and it's confirmed they love
mushrooms,
just like hobbits and Mbot. I'm impressed with the Skyward fandom for putting it together that Mbot's quest for mushrooms was to feed Doomslug his hyperdrive. For the first time in Cytoverse history, we see slugs eat, and it's adorable! They're basically magically powered parrots without any bones or beaks. Oddly, they aren't interested in buttons or pens. Best of all, the Tanix come in different colors with their own strengths and weaknesses. Plot. It starts at the end of the last book, which I don't mind as much since this is a side novella. We got to spend quality time with FM's infinite playlist. Seeing the Delver emerge again over detritus and from another perspective was totally worth the backtrack. The strength of this book is exploring Tanix powers through the scientific method. That is also its problem. Sando is relatively good at keeping the tension high in scenes revolving around lab experiments. It's just not as riveting as other Sando plots. After spending so much time with our magical friends, it wasn't a twist for them to swoop in and save the day. A Cytonic's ability to teleport what they touch through willpower alone was Skyward's big reveal. Though it was nice to have confirmation that the slugs have that will, if you ask them nicely.
Danny, be sure and ask nicely.
And it's even better to see FM's ethical treatment of animals pay off in the end. All in all, this was a nice story, and probably among the best for contemporary YA. Though compared to other Sando works, it's not exceptional.
Now for wrath, now for ruin, and the Red Dawn!
Redawn. Alanique. We had to wait basically 2 books to meet this character since she fell from the sky back in Starsight. In Sunreach, we meet her just long enough to be confused. Getting inside her head in Redawn was a blast. She's a lot like Spensa, though a different kind of mavericky.
No, Mav, this is not a good idea.
Seeing her homeworld's interaction with the superiority, her wariness with human offers for talk and cooperation makes sense. She's a competent Cytonic, and clearly used to being a free bird. But Sando balances it out with her profound loneliness.
She's talking to angels, counting the stars.
That I could totally relate to, which is why I now love Arturo. He goes from skeptic to genuinely curious to outright caring. He provides a good sounding board for Alanique to explain her objections to the superiority in a way I'm sure many readers can identify with. We may not have been driven underground by aliens who want us dead, but we know what it feels like to be made to feel less for being who we are. And unfortunately for humanity, many readers know how that feels on a societal level. Bless Arturo for listening and caring. He's even aware of her emotions and helps her handle her first kill. A scene that Skyward sorta skipped since the crew had killed so many before they found out that the enemy were also people. Though I'm not sure he's aware of all his feelings or her feelings. I smell shipping fodder. Jorgen. He's not the point of view character for these novellas, but together, this is his story. Going from flight leader to competent Cytonic leader dude. First learning how to interface with the slugs, then making an alliance with the people of Redawn. He also says no mating in this book, and I am noticing a pattern. YA novels always require some suspension of disbelief to allow for teenagers to competently climb the ranks of power. But Sando is giving Jorgen as close to a realistic rise to power as one can get in a space opera.
Well, I ain't gonna be around to pick you up when you fall now. Both of you gotta take care of each other now.
Which I'm sure Jorgen would rather be without. Trees. Now, we get the true reason Sanderson needed a buddy writer. To write about trees. He clearly prefers to write about rocks and slime. Planet side, anyway. Redawn calls for an expert on trees, since the Redawnians are scudding elves!
Trees to meet you.
Trees to meet you too.
And in the most unexpected crossover ever, they speak Quenya, or at least a version of Quenya without any bird references. Oddly enough, assuming one day in the light of Valarian trees is 24 hours, that adds up to about 7 Earth days or a week. So Tolkien in the Cytoverse took more than mere language. Acknowledging Tolkien in the Cytoverse raises the question, is detritus still part of the Diocese of Orlando, or is it the armed forces? And since this is Sando, would it be under the LDS Temple of Orlando? Though I'm not certain how LDS regional areas are determined. Let me know down in the comments. Back to Redawn. For a world getting introduced in a novella, Sando does a lot of work to ensure it's not a planet of hats. Just as detritus had an insane pilot culture, Redawn has an insane flying sport culture, reminiscent of ancient Constantinople's obsession with chariot racing.
Now this is pod racing.
It's just crazy enough to be realistic. Peace. On the topic of realistically insane adult antics, detritus's politicians' Peace for Our Time campaign toes the line with realism, suspension of disbelief, and sympathy. Jeshua's rudeness in Sunreach pushed too close to the stereotypical uptight bureaucrat who was just there to be a plot obstacle for me to really believe her. On the one hand, I'm not sure what an adult would do to defend what's hers in the event a monster of eldritch horror popped up outside our planet. Recent events may make undermining and antagonizing the people working to defend society from said eldritch monster realistic, but the position is hardly empathetic.
Did you all take stupid pills this morning?
In Redawn, Sando makes much more of an effort to justify detritus's quest for peace, reminding the reader that the upper class of detritus has always sought to preserve themselves and their status quo, no matter how many lives it cost. And frankly, when the option is a few versus the many,
The needs of the many outweigh
The needs of the few.
then the calculus seems easy, especially when the passive-aggressive oppressors go so far as to promise no harm will come to the few. Sanderson also takes time to consider the ramifications of what is essentially a military coup undermining a legitimate sovereign's orders, with even time to balance out orders versus morality. Sando makes it very clear that we're operating in a gray area. Then, surprise, surprise, the gray area gets blown up. Plot. I just knew the superiority had infiltrated the adults of detritus and Redawn, but I thought it was mind control, like what they did to Spence's father, and I overthought it.
Sir, we need a replacement. And fast!
In Starsight, Sando did so much work with the Lightweave, I mean holograms, that it should have been obvious. And it sort of was. But seeing this obvious twist coming, I completely missed, or rather underestimated, the evil space crab's plot to kill everyone they viewed as a threat.
Target the base at Scarif. Single reactor ignition.
Sure, Sunreach began with and midpointed around Wisnik trying to commit a human genocide in one fell swoop. Then at Redawn's final battle at the tower, Wisnik pulls the big guns as well. But, as Alanik points out, there's something honest about direct aggression. The superiority's underhandedness and sanitizing atrocities with nice, polite language is what makes it horrifying. They are now in S-tier villain league, which I truly appreciate Sanderson for writing. If this is how the second novella ends, I can't even imagine where Cytonic or Evershore will bring us. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Your patronage is greatly appreciated.